elected President of the United States, what would you say to Vladimir Putin the first time you met him? Because you will get to meet him.
Well, don't mess with our elections, for
Thank you.
South Bend, Indiana Mayor and presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg was also pressed on the issue of impeachment during that hardball town hall tonight.
First of all, I believe that the president deserves to be impeached. That much, yeah. I would also say, even though I have revealed myself to be ambitious and that I'm a young man running for president, that I also would think twice before offering strategic advice to Nancy Pelosi.
Mayor, I've got a follow-up, and it's to sort of nail you down.
Yeah.
If you were voting in Congress right now on impeachment, would you vote to impeach?
Yeah, I would.
Most of the 2020 presidential candidates were in California over the weekend to speak at the state's Democratic convention in San Francisco. Let's establish something here. Let's just say the gathering of California Democrats tends to skew a bit to the left side of the political ledger. More on that coming up. Frontrunner Joe Biden did not attend. He was in Ohio speaking at the Human Rights Campaign Gala. A few other Democrats also took part in MoveOn.org's forum where there were these scary moments for Senator Kamala Harris.
Oh. Hey. I'm just
Hello. Okay. Hi. Whoa. Wait a minute, sir.
A few minutes ago, asking for your attention to a much bigger idea than...
Thank you so much, sir, for your big idea. But we want to make sure that we are able to get through this. Okay, it's okay, folks. It's okay.
Very entitled animal rights activist. Senator's husband was among the people who helped remove the man there on stage. He later posted this on social media. "We are good. I love Kamala Harris and would do anything for her." Back on our broadcast tonight, Rick Wilson, a veteran Republican strategist whose views about our 45th president are best encapsulated in the title of his book, Everything Trump Touches Dies. And Laura Barone Lopez is back with us, national political reporter for Politico. Good evening and welcome to you both. Rick, do you think in Mayor Pete there is a guy who could at most take on, but at least flummox Donald Trump?
I think there are a few things about Mayor Pete that would cause Donald Trump some disturbance. He's not really a guy who seems to respond to the Trump name calling and the Trump, nicknaming and things like that. And there's also something else. He was a guy who went and served in the military.
Yep, there's
his bone spurs didn't get in the way
Yep.
of him going to serve in his generational war. And so I think that's something that Trump has always, it's one of the reasons Trump's always hated John McCain and hated George H.W. Bush, because they were examples of physical courage that he could never rival. Now, I think the other thing about Pete that is appealing to a lot of folks is he's clearly very intelligent, very quick on his feet, very articulate.
There is the whole Rhodes Scholar
There's
thing.
the Rhodes Scholar thing. Those guys tend to be brighter than the average bear. And so I think that would bother Trump in some ways because he can't just go out and make jokes and mug around the stage in the same way that he got away with a lot of the Republican candidates, I think. So he's an impressive performer. Whether that gets him home is another question.
Also, Trump's first pass at a nickname for him generationally was just people had to rush to Google to look up who Mr. Newman was.
Correct. And we're creeping into that higher end of the arc there in the demographic curve. I hate to say it, but for us, that's like a memory, and it's sort of relevant from our childhoods. But for the vast majority of Americans, it was just so out of touch. But it's a reminder Donald Trump is something like 400 years old. So,
hey, Laura, let's talk about this gathering in California over the weekend. And as we do, I'm going to play the clips of the Democrats who came closest. And this was a first for this early race. To mentioning Joe Biden, though not by name. We'll talk about this on the other side.
There is a debate among presidential candidates who have spoken to you here in this room and those who have chosen, for whatever reason, not to be in this room. We cannot go back to the old ways. We have got to go forward with a new and progressive agenda.
Okay, so that was just Bernie. Laura, what is it we're seeing at work here?
So if you're looking at the polls and if you're looking at who's dominating dominating media coverage, it's Joe Biden and everybody else. That's the way the race looks right now. So if you're Bernie Sanders or if you're Elizabeth Warren, who also at that California gathering made a light ribbing of Biden, then you want to separate yourself as much as possible from him and create that contrast. So for Sanders, it's trying to use Biden as that establishment foil, and it's still trying to project as though he's the leading progressive. That's a lot harder this time around, though, because there's 23 other Democrats in the race. And Warren, we've seen her come out a bit forcefully in trying to strike that contrast, specifically when it comes to her stance on Wall Street and big banks and saying that she's been opposite Biden on this issue for decades.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.